Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Edward, and in this video we're going to be taking a look on the exercise for generating all the subsets for a given array. Let's get started after the intro. Guys, the reason that I want to take a look into this exercise was because I found the solution of a part of this problem appearing in many other places, in many other different algorithms, which is the idea of generating combinations of an array of size n. And basically that's what we're going to be looking here to solve this subsets exercise. Okay, so for this we're going to be doing this as in a TDD way. And the first thing that we're going to be starting is with the combinations algorithm. Okay, so let me comment out all of this code here, and we're just going to be running through like each of these test scenario one by one. Okay, so here is like if we get the combination of size 0 of any array, the only thing that should be in our response really is like an empty array, because that's the only array that's size 0 that is always a combination of size 0 of any array. So if we do here the combinations and we pass here 0 and basically any array, we should be returning like an array containing just the empty array. Cool. If you run this test, it passes. Woohoo, we're good. The second time is like, what if we ask for the combination of size n of an array that is empty? We should not be returning any responses. So that's why this is the second part of our combination. So again, here should be, it doesn't really matter, but of an empty array should there be no valid answers. Okay, but then let's get restarted with the real algorithm. So let's say we are gonna be creating here the solution, and like the very first thing that we can do to make this test pass is basically like put this element here in an array. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. So if you copy here, we have element of size 1, and here we have an element, and the response will be just an array with that element. Okay, so if you run this test here now, everything's passing. Cool, we're good. So let's go for the second one. If you run this test now, this one is failing. Okay, so because there's no match for that clause. And the way we can do so that we have all the previous tests passing is actually we can transform this guy here into a list, and we can basically do enum.map. We can pass here the list, and we can pass that we're gonna be returning at 1. Yeah, I think that's fine. Everything's passing. Now let's go for the next scenario, which is this guy here, which is basically the same scenario as the one before, but with 3 elements and everything's passing, so we're good. So now let's go for this one. Here you see that we have like what are all the combinations of size 2 of an array of just one element. We shouldn't have any valid answers. So how are we gonna be doing this? I am gonna create another combinations here, def combinations, where we're gonna be receiving a size and a list, and we're gonna be doing a case length of list. Whenever the length when length is greater than size, actually it's the other way, size is like smaller than the length, we're going to be returning here an empty array, right? So if I come here and run this test, everything's passing. Cool. So let's go for the next scenario. So the next scenario is whenever we ask like the combination of size 2 of an array of 2 elements, this should be basically the list itself. So what we can do here is we can copy this guy here, length. Whenever these guys are equal, we're going to be returning a list containing the list. If we run this guy now, we're good. Everything's passing. So if you run length for 3, same as the one above, everything should be passing, so we're good. Now we're gonna have like the 2 of size 2 If we run this test here, everything's passing as well. I think I put another test just for the sake of example, which is the same. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this one here. So now we're gonna be going for 2 of an array of size 3, and this should be 1 and 2, 1 and 3, and 2 and 3. Okay, so in this sense here, we like now the length is 2 and the size of the array is 3, so we need another clause for this guy here. Actually, if you run, probably gonna fail. There's no clause matching. Yep. So we're gonna be copying this guy here, and we're gonna say that this guy here is more. And if we put like this answer here, right, which is like the right answer, and we run our tests, everything's passing. But of course, like we cannot hard code our solution here, right? So what is this answer here? If we take a look on this part here, right, just this part by itself, this 2 and 3 here basically is the combination of size 2 of 2 and 3, right? So this thing should still be valid. Actually, this part here can be rewritten as this. Okay, so now, and this here is just combinations of 2 and 3. And you could actually say to me that everything is the same if we do this part here. But what I wanted to put in perspective is actually this guy here, they have the same element as the head. The head is the same. And on our example, if we look like what we're doing, we pass here the 2, and we're passing here a list containing 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So how can we generate something like this, like in a dummy direct way? What I think about it is basically, let me copy this guy here. I am gonna be doing here a for loop where I'm gonna have an element, and we're gonna be having here 2 and 3, and I'm gonna be returning here 1 element. Cool. Like this line here is exact as this one here, but now we like expanded into a comprehension. So I'm gonna remove this guy here, and here what we have. Okay, so if we see here the combinations here, this guy is the same as this guy here. Okay, so if you change this to size and this to size here, we're good. This 2 and 3 here is basically the tail of our list here. So if we put here head and tail, and this should be the way for us to consume our tail. Okay, so we're again, everything's still the same. How can we generate this guy here? This guy here, if we think about it, it's basically like the combinations of one of a list containing 2 and 3, right? So this guy here is the same as this one above. What is 2 and 3? 2 and 3, again, 2 and 3 is our tail. And we were generating like elements of size 1. Remember that our size here is 2. So here is basically like our size minus 1. Minus 1. Let me wrap this thing around here. So it should be good. What is this one element here that we're going? Is basically the head of our list. Cool. So now if we run this test here, list 0. Oops, sorry. This should be list. And if we run this, we should be good. So let's go for the next one. We should be good. And finally, just another test for this one, just for the sake of a few more steps. We're good. Looks like algorithm is ready. But cool. So here's what I want to think about it. Like, let's say our combination here, they have the exact same size as the list. Okay, so if we put here size 2, and here should be like uh, 1 and 2, and I want to go for this last scenario here. Okay, so this should be theoretically the size 1, right? Here should be 1 of 2, which is basically 2, which is basically a list containing this and this. This just continues, and this should be 1 and 2, which is our response, because the head gonna still be our 1 here, and 1 and 2 is the answer. So for the same size, this is also valid, right? If this thing is also valid, we can get rid of this guy here, and we can say greater or equal. Cool. So let's come back here to what we were doing before. Combination size minus 1, tail. Just t, and this here should be head and tail. Cool. If we run our tests, maybe I forgot something. This should be a list here. Cool. What's the problem here? Extend to size. Oops, I forgot here again to put here size. And if we run our test here, everything's passing. Cool. So, and what if we pass here a greater element? So, what if we pass here 2, and here I pass 1? Okay. So then here we should be 1, right? And this should be this. This guy here goes into our scenario here, which is an empty array. So this will be combined as this will never enter into the for loop. And this here is also have here an empty array, and will also be returned as empty array. So it's going to be returned the exact same thing as we had before. So what we can do now is come back here and get rid of this guy here, and we can get rid of this guy here, we can get rid of this guy here, we can get rid of this guy here. Cool. And now I have just one last scenario. Again, this should be size, this should be head and tail. And what if we pass into this guy here of size 1, an array containing 1 and 2. Again, this should be size 0. Size 0 is gonna come here, so it's gonna contain a list containing just this here. So it's gonna enter once and just put our head here. So we're gonna have here in this line, we're just gonna be returning all this. So all the for loop is gonna return something like this 1, right? And here we're gonna have like the same guy here 1 returning 2, which basically this is gonna be returning another list containing this. Everything here is gonna be returned something like this, which is our expected response. So we know that this case here is we don't need it as well. So what we can is go back a bunch of times, and we can get rid of this guy here, and we can rerun our tests. Everything's working. Cool. So how we're going to generate all the subsets of an array? So what we basically can do is we can go from 0 to length nums, and we're gonna be in num.reduce. I'm gonna have here an empty list. We're gonna have like our element in our accumulator, and basically what we're gonna be using is gonna be num.concat combinations x nums acc. If we recompile and other thing, we still have our code working. Cool. That's everything for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.